Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing a team that I ran for a bit of a laugh on my wife's account that ended up winning the first 21 games that it played this season. Now, I do want to caution, this is not a team that I would recommend for climbing. For Feraligatr, Shadow Claw is still absolutely preferred. It's way better. The Ice Fang was purely run just to try and throw off opponents a little bit on the save switch and maybe force them into making some misplays. Now, since this win streak was at the start of the season, of course, the first set or two didn't have the greatest opponents, but after that, I started running into pretty frequent legend poses. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the team in action. Picking up a great lead in the first match, leading Gastrodon into the Alolan Sandslash. Opponent safe switches Azumarill, and I'm actually pretty weak to Azumarill in the back. I'm going to stay in with the Gastrodon, land the Earth Power, throw one, switch, and make a catch onto the Alolan Sandslash. In this meta, Azumarill almost always on Ice Beam plus Play Rough, which means their charged attacks are actually completely walled by the steel typing of the Sandslash. So even though Sandslash doesn't have a winning matchup here, the fact that I've already done so much damage means that I'm actually in a pretty good spot. I'm going to be firing off a Drill Run. Drill Run is going to do some very nice damage to my opponent, but I'm not going to be able to get a farm down as my opponent is going to bring in their own Sandslash. I make it to the Drill Run. This is going to be pressuring a shield from my opponent as that would do some pretty significant damage. And now I send in the Gastrodon as they fire off their energy. It is going to be the Ice Punch, Gastrodon farming up, getting to the Earth Power, putting pressure on that final shield. Are they really willing to double shield? The answer is no. They're going to let it go. In the back is Jumpluff. And oh boy, this Jumpluff is about to get absolutely torn to shreds by Ice Fang Feraligatr. Body Slam is going to connect. That does less than no damage. I'm just going to stay in here. Surely they have to throw. There's no way they just farm me all the way down. I go for the Body Slam, and they just farm me all the way down. So it's time. Feraligatr enters the field of play. I'm going to shield, respecting the Energy Ball, and they go for it. And shielding an Energy Ball means that this is just a guaranteed win now, as I can shield next and farm down, and they can't bait and get to a third Energy Ball, so the game is just over at this point. In comes the Azumarill, and they will resign the match. Gastrodon versus Annihilape. Annihilape, another Pokemon that's pretty uncomfortable for this team to deal with, as Annihilape can just apply a lot of pressure everywhere. Annihilape is going to be firing off its energy here, going for the Rage Fist. Rage Fist, I will be no shielding, and then I am going to go for a Body Slam bait. The Body Slam bait is a bit of a risky one, but it pays off as I'm able to get a shield. Opponent looking for the farm down, but they do not get there. It looks like they were stuttering a little bit there, but I'm able to get the Earth Power and force the final shield. And that kind of advantage is very, very nice. I'm going to send in Feraligatr. It's a risky call, but I know shield calling that it's a boosted Rage Fist and not a close combat. Looking for the Ice Fang farm down, but here's where Ice Fang is a lot worse. As I don't get the farm down, they make a Rage Fist, they force a shield, in the back is Toxapex, I bank a Crunch, and I'm going to send in the Sandslash. The fact that they're staying makes me think they're weak in the back to this Sandslash, so I'm feeling that I'm in a pretty good position, but no, they just wanted to land a brine to put me basically in Drill Run range, and this is actually an awful spot to be in now. I'm on Powder Snow on this Sandslash, which means that my fast moves are double resisted. I'm doing less than no damage. I land Drill Run after Drill Run. They are not in a range where a third Drill Run will KO. I'm going to respect the Drill Run just to get Icy Wind baited. That's even worse. I'm going to farm up a ton of energy, try and go for a CMP sack swap, but my opponent shows great patience. They hold on to the energy, Crunch lands, they survive, they're able to save it, and in comes Toxapex. And now I only have one win con in this game. I need to exit with a move loaded to win CMP over the Dugong. I'm able to land the Drill Run. They're going to fire off the Brine, but I've taken a lot of damage. I'm very low. Can I get the double up here? Sandslash with literally 1 HP remaining gets the Drill Run plus the Ice Punch. Drill Run KOs. Ice Punch wins the CMP tie over Dugong. Now this is very heavily resisted by the Dugong, but it's enough, securing the knockout and taking the win. Hopping into the next match, leading Gastrodon into Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff will almost always have at least one ground type in the back, sometimes double ground, other times they can have Drifblim plus ground. Either way, I'm feeling in a pretty good position against either one of those teams, as Ice Fang Feraligatr, even though it's definitely not as good as Shadow Claw Feraligatr, is uniquely well positioned into these teams. As with Ice Fang, of course, I actually have fast move pressure into the Wigglytuff, where if you're running Shadow Claw, you do not. I'm able to force both shields. Now I can switch into Feraligatr. These Ice Fangs do add up quite a bit over time, and I have a choice to make, and I decide to save my shield. They're going to go for a Swift. There's the Gastrodon. So we do see one ground type. Now the question will be, is it going to be a second ground type or will it be Drifblim? I'm able to get some pretty solid damage onto the Gastrodon, but I'm so low on my own that it's now all up to a Lowland Sandslash. In comes the Sandslash. Opponent actually throws on 2 there to try and throw me off, as it's unlikely that I'll catch on alignment. They full send the Earth Power, so that's a massive shield. This is only 9 total Mud Slap, so it can only be a Body Slam. Body Slam, not going to be too threatening. I will get the farm down, and now I have to watch for a potential catch attempt. It's the Drifblim. They try and go for the catch, going for the Peekaboo, but I hold on to my energy, anticipating the play, and now Drifblim is going to get knocked out by the back-to-back Ice Punches. So even though things looked a little bit dire there, Alolan Sandslash able to put the team on his back and take victory. Hopping into the next match, leading Gastrodon into an opposing Gastrodon. We've got a mirror match, but the Gastrodon that I'm using is XXL. I'm going to farm up and fire off a Body Slam bait here. Earth Power does quite a lot of damage, but my opponent stone cold calls the bait and immediately puts me on the defensive in this matchup. Tough call to make. I'm going to shield, and I do get the shield call right, which is very nice. I'm firing off the Body Slam. Body Slam is going to be shielded by my opponent. My opponent accidentally overfarms too much, and they play to a CMP tie that they do not win. This Gastrodon does have a little bit of attack to it, able to deny my opponent's energy, and now in comes Dunsparce. Dunsparce does not want this Earth Power to land, so they're forced to throw their energy right when they get it to avoid Gastrodon landing that move, and now I get to send in Feraligatr. And again, Feraligatr's pacing is absolutely terrible with Ice Fang, but I do actually have fast move pressure into the Dunsparce. They do throw an alignment there. Again, it is early season. Now here I go for the Hydro Cannon, but there's a frame drop as I throw it. Now I should outpace by a turn, but because of the frame drop, it actually ends up being a CMP tie, which is not ideal, but I'm just going to trust in Sandslash. In the back, it's going to be a Shadow Drapion, and this game is over. I always no shield the first. Drapion is going to go for an Aqua Tail. Now they can make 3 Aqua Tails, but with a shield to hide behind, 2 Aqua Tails landing is not going to be enough to KO. So I am going to shield up the second, and then just build up to the back-to-back drill runs. At this point, my only loose con is baiting, so I full send the drill run. They end up shielding, but I have drill run number 2. Unfortunately, Drapion just does not have a lot of play in this team, as a Gastrodon Alolan Sandslash core just gives it 0 room to operate. We see a great lead in the next match. Gastrodon into Clod, sire. Opponent is going to save switch into Sableye. And honestly, this team does not have an amazing response to a Sableye save switch, so I am just going to stay in here and play this out. Sableye will fire off the foul play. That does some pretty solid damage. A Body Slam bait would be pretty epic here, but I am not brave enough. I'm going to go for the Earth Power, grab the shield, and now I'm going to send in Feraligatr. Feraligatr farming up. If they foul play, I'm going to have to throw my Hydro to deny their next move, but they go for the kill shot with the return, and that's going to allow me to get a full farm down. I exit with a lot of energy, but this energy is immediately going to be met with Azumarill. Now, the Azumarill matchup is another situation where having Ice Fang is just so much worse, as you just have 0 fast move pressure to this Pokemon, whereas if you are running the Shadow Claw variant, the Shadow Claws do actually add up a ton on Azumarill, so much that Feraligatr is usually favored in that matchup. Opponent will go for the play rough. That's going to pick up the knockout. I send in the Gastrodon. I'm worried my opponent will go for a 1-shield farm down, so I'm going to go for the Body Slam bait. Even if they call it, I can guarantee landing a Body Slam, and I do land the Body Slam, and this forces their energy. This is actually great. I'm very happy with this. Now I'm just going to trust in the Sandslash in the end game, and it's Clod, sire. And the reason to run the non-Shadow Alolan Sandslash is the fact that if an Earthquake from Clod, sire lands, they cannot Poison Sting you down after. So when they fire off this energy, I can very comfortably no-shield this as I live in Earthquake. The opponent went for a Sludge Bomb bait. Trainer, I am so sorry. And at this point, this is just extremely over. It was already game over, but now it is just a never before seen level of game over, as I will be able to shield up the Earthquake, and I think I can even just Powder Snow this all the way down as well. They're going to send in the Azumarill. I get to build up to the back-to-back moves. Drill Run is going to KO the Azumarill, and they will concede the match, recognizing that there's no way forward. Gastrodon into Diggersby, not the most comfortable lead ever. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start, probably look to bank some energy, and then look to save switch into the Ice Fang Feraligatr. Ice Fang will actually give me fast move pressure in this matchup, which Diggersby normally does a pretty great job at shutting down. So I send in Feraligatr, and here I'm going to make an extremely boneheaded play. What is the most common Pokemon with Diggersby? Toxapex. And Toxapex shuts down Feraligatr. I mean, I'm running Crunch specifically for this situation and for Dugong, but even with a defense drop, this is still a miserable matchup to be in. So this is where, honestly, my team identification did not work whatsoever, as I should have realized that with Diggersby, there's almost always going to be Toxapex, so I shouldn't commit shields to Feraligatr. I aggressively switch back into the Gastrodon. I'm able to tank up Brine, get a farm down. I'm down shields, but I have a ton of energy everywhere, and in the back is going to be their own Feraligatr. I'm baiting with the Body Slam. Can I get the triple Body Slam? No. Instead, I'm just going to go for the harder hitting Earth Power. Earth Power into Feraligatr does get no shielded, and that's just completely game losing for my opponent. Now I can send in the Alolan Sandslash. I don't have to care about a Shadow Hydro Cannon, and I just have an energy advantage, so I can very comfortably outpace the Diggersby when it re-enters the field of play. So Diggersby comes back in, they realize there is not a win con, and they will concede the match. We've got a battle of water types in the next match, Gastrodon versus Greninja. Now, Greninja will have a massive pacing advantage here, able to get to these charge moves lightning fast, but they don't have the fast move pressure of Gastrodon. They're just going to fire off the Night Slash as soon as they get it. I will commit the shield and look to build up to the back-to-back Body Slams. Body Slam, I believe, will be enough to deliver a knockout. Greninja is very frail. They shield. I wait the turn to make sure that I see the Water Shuriken start and that the Body Slam will land on its intended target. A double shield from my opponent, and if I let this go, I don't really have a good way to farm it down. So that kind of forces me to stay in here, commit the shield. They save switch into Ariados, and it's very tempting to throw that Earth Power. But the correct play is to bank all the energy and send in Sandslash. Sandslash is a complete wall to Ariados. Whether it goes for Trailblaze or Lunge, neither move is going to do a lot of damage. They're opting for lunges, just trying to debuff me more and more, but I have an Earth Power loaded on the Gastrodon. I still have a full health Feraligatr. Even though my Feraligatr has way worse pacing than it typically would, it can still output some pretty solid damage. Ice Punch into Ariados will deliver a knockout. In comes Greninja. I get the farm down, and whatever they have in back, I guess was weak to Sandslash, as they will resign the match. We've got a mirror lead once again, the XXL Gastrodon versus the regular Gastrodon. I'm farming up, and I'm going to go for the Body Slam bait. The last Gastrodon actually called this. So, you know what? I'm stubborn. I'm going for the bait again, and this time the bait is successful. The move is shielded, thank goodness. My opponent full sends an Earth Power, and now I just have such an advantage in this matchup. Now I get to full send the Earth Power. Are they really willing to double shield their lead? No. Their Gastrodon will get KO'd. In comes Driplim. I save switch to Feraligatr. They're going to send out Toxapex. This matchup a lot worse with the Ice Fang, but honestly that's fine, because at this point, they just completely lose to a Sandslash in the back. Once their Gastrodon is out of the way, they just have no way of winning, but they couldn't really switch out of the Gastrodon mirror with a Toxapex in the back. I'm going to send in Gastrodon purely just to absorb energy from the Toxapex, but this is just a completely one game for me. They go for the Brine. I try and make it to an Earth Power, but it's not going to happen, but this is just game over. Sandslash is just winning here. I'm going to fire off the Ice Punch. Opponent can shield. They are guaranteed to go for an Icy Wind here, even as they build up to a Shadow Ball, but even so, on the 0.001% chance they actually Shadow Ball, I will end up shielding. It is, of course, going to be the Icy Wind, but the good news is it's not going to matter. Sandslash firing off the Ice Punch plus a Powder Snow will deliver a knockout. There's no way for Toxapex to get to 2 Brines. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Hopping into the final match, Gastrodon versus Jumpluff. I'm going to save switch into the Ice Fang Feraligatr. Jumpluff stays to get an Energy Ball, but in doing so, they lose 50% of their HP. So right off the bat, the Jumpluff getting torn to shreds, they're going to switch out into Azumarill. Azumarill, unfortunately, does amazingly into my Feraligatr. Ice Fang so good versus the Jumpluff, but so terrible versus the Azumarill. Azumarill is going to fire off a Play Rough. This will do most of my remaining HP. If my clock's up, I would love to switch. Clock's up, I switch out with back-to-back Hydro Cannons, and that is absolutely massive. Azumarill has a ton of energy. I know there's a Jumpluff in my future, so I'm never going to shield. It's a rare Azumarill running Hydro Pump, and in comes the Jumpluff. Jumpluff was energy dry. I'm going to overfarm here, hoping to entice them to throw some energy, but they're actually not going to do that. Instead, they are just going to go for an insane amount of farm. Body Slam after Body Slam is going to connect. Opponent miscounts and lets me get another Body Slam. Please shield this. because then I can switch into the Sand Slash, but they let it go. What do they have as their final Pokemon in the back? And this is the game where the win streak ends, as it's Talonflame as their third Pokemon. They know that I have 2 Hydro Cannons, but I would need a third if I was going to take this win. I can send in the Sand Slash, but the Powder Stones plus Ice Punch will never threaten them enough to force a shield. And yeah, this is just over. Unfortunately, we had a terrific run with this team, but they can very comfortably no-shield the Ice Punch there, get the farm down, and I will resign the match. And I am going to be showcasing one final bonus battle, leading Gastrodon into a Azumarill. My opponent is lagging at the start, so I decided to stop tapping and give them a chance to catch back up. So we are sitting here for a second, and suddenly a bunch of my health disappears. They're at a Hydro Pump, and I am massively behind. So I tried to wait and be a good person, and it looks like it's actually going to cost me severely in this match. This is absolutely awful. I land the Earth Power. I'm forced to send in Feraligatr. They bring in a Ferrothorn, and this just looks completely doomed. I do really like trying to wait for people when I do notice that they are lagging. So to try and wait for someone and then to have the game not update and them suddenly have a bunch of energy is really, really unfortunate. They're going to go for a Power Whip. They're going to get another Power Whip as well. And I'm just, at this point, this is just a completely lost game. I'm going down with the ship here, Titanic style. I am committing both shields, getting 8 million Feraligatr energy, just hoping against hope that somehow I can win this game. I fire off the Hydro Cannon, but this is the non-Shadow Feraligatr. My wife doesn't have a Shadow Feraligatr on her account, and the non-Shadow 2 Hydros do not KO. At this point, I have one win con, and his name is basically Jumpluff. I need something that's double weak to Ice in the back, and the final Pokemon is Altaria. And I'll be honest, I didn't believe in people having plot armor until this exact moment. I tried to be nice and wait for them, and then I ended up, unfortunately, at a huge disadvantage as a result, but it doesn't matter. We're still able to get the win. All in all, I ran this team mainly as a bit of a laugh. I just wanted to have some fun in the early days of the season, and winning the first 21 games was definitely not something that I ever expected. As I mentioned at the start, win streaks right at the start of the season, in my view, are a lot less impressive than later in the season, just due to the fact that for the first set, or sometimes the first set or two, you're oftentimes going to run into a lot less experienced opponents. But overall, I like when I can run something that's interesting and have results that are actually pretty solid. Again, I do not recommend this team if you're looking to gain elo. I've posted quite a few other videos of teams that I think are very solid. I don't think this team, once the surprise factor of ICE FANG Feraligatr has been revealed, is going to have nearly the same results. So this is more so just a video that I'm posting not as a recommendation for climbing, but just to showcase some very fun battles that I had. Thank you everyone for watching, and an extra special thank you to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely incredible, so thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.